We're good.
So hello and good morning. My name is Lynn and this is my partner Leena. We are members of the St. John Ambulance's Therapy Dog Program here in Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge. As members, we have the pleasure of visiting members of the community with our canine companions to help spread joy, relieve stress, and hopefully bring smiles to everyone we meet. St. John Ambulance's Therapy Dog Program is a volunteer-based program that anybody who has a canine companion that thinks would thrive in a social and dynamic environment can participate in. I first found out about St. John Ambulance's Therapy Dog Program through a very good friend of mine named Mila. Mila, who is sadly no longer with us, volunteered with St. John Ambulance with her dog Midas. I've noticed over the years the impact that she and her dog had when visiting with people, and I knew I wanted to create that same kind of impact when visiting with Leena. Leena, come here. Yeah, come on. Yeah. I know there's people out there and you're here, it's crazy. So Leena and I first met in 2013. Leena is currently 12 and a half years old. When I met her, she was 1 and a half. So we've been together for quite some time. That is why I call her my partner. And we met when I was in college studying to be a veterinary technician. And after my first year of my program, we were able to adopt all the animals at the school. So that included the dogs, the cats, the lab animals. The years after getting Leena were not easy. Leena came with her own set of quirks. She didn't like other dogs, so we really had to work hard at ensuring that she knew that other dogs weren't out to get her. She was a stray located in Sudbury, and her owner unfortunately developed cancer. And so one day on her trip to North Bay for treatment, she ended up dropping Leena off at the Humane Society, and that was how she ended up coming to my school. Come, Leena. Good girl. Come here. Good job. So after graduating, both Leena and I stayed in the vet tech field, and Leena became a donor. Over the years, Leena has donated her blood, bone marrow, various tissues, and other samples to help aid animals in need and further research as well. I started to notice as Leena aged that she would recover slower from her donations. It started to take a real toll on her body. And so when Leena turned 8 is when Mila told us about St. John Ambulance, and I found it another great way for Leena and I to continue to give back without Leena giving too much. So we reached out to St. John Ambulance, had an assessment done, and passed in 2016. Our first placement was at Forest Heights Long-Term Care Home in Kitchener. There, we met some really amazing people that bonded with Leena. Over the years, shortly after starting our visits, actually, in fact, we noticed a young child who would visit their grandparents. And over these years, we noticed that this child would come more frequently on the days specifically Leena and I were there. As we continued our visits, I noticed that they would invigorate Leena, keeping her more active as she aged. So she kind of regressed a couple years, which made me happy to see. I was really concerned about her as she started to get older, but as we started to do more visits, she almost seemed to become younger. I saw the joy that Leena would bring when visiting, when the child would come and visit, and after speaking with our St. John Ambulance therapy team a little bit more, I soon found out about their child reading program. Within the program, in order to visit with children specifically, you needed to be child tested. They have to be certified safe around children. We had the pleasure of taking part of that process in 2016 and passed with flying colors. In 2019, just before COVID, Leena became ill with some lumps and pneumonia, forcing us to step away from St. John Ambulance for a period of time to tend to her health issues. We are happy to report that Leena has been given a clean bill of health from her veterinarian and is now completely lump-free.
Yay.
We went through the process of joining once again, went through a little bit of a wait period, but we passed at the end of 2020, I believe. Earlier this month, Leena was also had the privilege of going through her child testing process again, and once again passed with flying colors. So this has given us the opportunity to extend our visits to elementary schools when currently some of the most common places that we visit are universities, workplace events, community events, similar to this one. So I wanted to thank Gareth for inviting me today to speak to you guys about St. John Ambulance's therapy dog program and hearing about my journey and Leena's. And I want to invite you guys to ask us any questions that you might have and to visit with Leena. We'd be happy to come around to you guys. Thank you.
Questions?
What's happened for you? Yay. Did anybody have any questions by chance? Yeah.
What do you do in the schools?
So we like to visit around exam time because we find that that's usually when, especially the university kids, are at their highest stress point. And so there's a lot of stress buster events that are held that the students come and they just sit with the dogs for a little bit. There's usually 3 or 4 dogs that come to events like that. And they just find so much joy in being around them. It relieves stress. We were also recently involved in a study at the Ontario Veterinary College on whether or not it is true if therapy dogs relieve stress and release endorphins in people. And it is scientifically proven that the therapy dogs do provide some type of stress relief for them. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Oh, yes.
Does the dog have to come out of a registered training program, or can it be a pet who goes through?
Yeah, so anybody who has a dog that would do well in high active environments, lots of screaming kids, can join. so, you know, some dogs do not thrive in that kind of environment. Unfortunately, dogs that jump, you know, you can always train a dog not to jump, but it's usually not ideal. One of the reasons being is if you are invited to visit at a hospital, a jumping dog can rip out an IV. There's also concerns for some people that have maybe skin issues or frailer skin, so you don't want the dog's paws or nails clawing on anybody. So usually a lot of the dogs that we find that join the program are older. But anybody who has a dog that's really well trained that would do well can join. Good job. All right, can you sit? Here, I'll give you a Scooby snack. Sit. Good job. Wave goodbye. Stand up. You wave bye-bye. Stand up. Wave bye-bye. You have that. You stand again. Stand and ta-da. Good job. Bow. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh yeah. Oh,
What
sorry.
breed is a dog, or can any breed qualify?
So any breed can qualify. Leena is a Doberman and an Airedale cross. So basically, that's a big scruffy mutt. So she's nothing special. She's just kind of something that I had found when, again, I was in college and knew that she had a lot of potential. She provided me with a lot of stress when I was going through some really difficult times. So I knew that she could help other people as well. And yes, sorry.
Oh, no. I was wondering, do you have like a set schedule then? Like, do you have a certain like schools that you go to on a regular basis, or by invitation?
Yeah.
You kind of squeeze more in.
For sure. So for typically, personally, what ends up happening is, when you first join, you do get placed on their what's called their elder care team. So when you do your visits, you do have to go weekly initially, perhaps to a long-term care placement, and then from there, once a month, they email you opportunities of elsewhere places that you can add. When you do join, there's a minimum requirement of a number of hours you do need to kind of reach. But as you are more senior in the program, for example, Lynn and I, we don't go to long-term care placements anymore because we do more elementary schools. So if you find that you're a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of visits that you have, it's totally up for discussion in terms of what works best with your schedule. And they're really accommodating in the sense that if you just want to join because you do want to give back, but you're finding it really difficult to meet your 1-week obligations, they're pretty accommodating in the sense that they understand your busy schedule and they can make arrangements as well.
Can you tell us any sort of special anecdote or something extra funny that happened with her at some point?
For sure. So when we were initially actually trial tested in 2016, one of the parts of the process Leena needs to complete is children running at you. So you stand behind a tape line and the children need to be rushed at Leena. And so Leena was sitting beside me and must have gotten an itch. So she turned around and scratched and completely missed it. But then when she turned back, all these kids were in front of her and she was very excited. So she got really happy. She was just like, wow, this is the best magic trick ever. So we were pretty. That was a pretty fun moment. And then when we recently came back earlier this month to be tested once again, when we had come to that point, I had made sure that she focused on them this time. So it was quite memorable. She all around is a really independent dog who just kind of gets it. That's why I call her my partner. Like, we have another pup at home and I call him my best friend. So she's my partner in the sense that I don't really need to tell her to do much. I'm just kind of the meat at the end of the leash. So Leena loves, she'll go up and she'll visit people. She gets connections with people. She knows sometimes when people want to see her. Even when people don't want to see her, she's like, oh, okay, yep, you want to see me. We can make this happen. But yeah, good girl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a retired elementary teacher, school teacher. I don't understand what you do when you go into an elementary school.
For sure. Yeah, so with Leena and I, we go into their special ed programs specifically. So we do a lot of with students that have special needs. And so because just Leena being around them, usually that takes up a lot of our times because our visits can be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, judging on Leena's, her exhaustion level. So they'll just come, they find her very tactically stimulating because she's really scruffy as well and soft on the head. So they enjoy and they ask questions over time. But during their February-March time, they have a reading program. So I guess part of their curriculum, the children need to read a certain amount of hours up to a certain level. And the way that schools have started to make that a little bit more fun for kids is by introducing dogs. So during those months, it's really common for dogs to visit those classrooms and have children sit down with their teachers and just read to the dogs. So it's sometimes fun to try to keep Leena as engaged as she is. As you can see, Leena's got the terrier nose, so she's constantly vacuuming. Anything somebody's dropped, she'll find it. Right, there you go. But yeah, so that's kind of mainly what we do when we visit those elementary schools is for their reading programs, and then also with their special ed class. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you guys hearing us out and asking us any questions, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you.